What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Noah Gillian Show. I, of course, am your host, Noah Gillian. So happy you decided to join in today. It is the 9th of June, 2023. And on today's episode, we're going to be doing a little Sixers off-season primer. After this way the season ended, we wanted to get in here and talk about a lot of news that's been surrounding the team. So joining me, as always, Connor Laverty, our Sixers expert. What do you got going on, Con? How you doing?
Um, I've been better as a Sixers fan, but NBA Finals are on. Got that on in the background on mute, so it's a good one. Heat are hanging around. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Heat,
Yeah.
but yeah, doing good.
All right. All right. Well,
Happy to
that's
be
what we
here.
like to hear. It's good. It's been a good final so far, and can only hope for more of the same. Before we get into the show, please hit us with that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the likes. It really helps the podcast grow. You can find us on social media. Drop all the links in the description below. So check that out. So without further ado, Con, let's just get right into it. And starting off, we'll start off with the big news. Obviously, Doc Rivers was relieved of his duties as head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. And in comes, well, first off, there was a number of candidates that was thrown around. Monty Williams was a free agent. He ended up going to Detroit. There was a number of other, Mike D'Antoni was a name thrown around. There was a plethora of names that were brought up, but the Sixers landed on former Toronto Raptor coach Nick Nurse. And to start off, this was the guy that I kind of wanted from the start, honestly, because I felt like, and I don't know what you think about it, I feel like Monty Williams was my other favorite, which I wanted. Kind of was in that Doc Rivers mold. I feel like I don't know, was more of a people's coach, like players coach, and maybe that's an uneducated opinion. But I felt like in Nick Nurse, what the Sixers are getting is a coach who's willing to make adjustments on the fly. B, really sound in his X and O's decision making, and like, is willing to, and kind of plays on top on, like, willing to try some crazy stuff pretty much to win. And another reason that I really liked it was he holds players accountable. Will call players out, and I think honestly at this point of his career, I think that's what Joel Embiid needs. I think Doc was trying to be his friend a lot over the last 5 years, and maybe not. I mean, I don't know if it's fair to say maybe he just got comfortable. I know obviously he went out and balled out and just won the MVP this year, but maybe he just got a little comfortable in the sense of his game and where he was at and had to be self-motivated. Whereas I think in Nick Nurse, I think he's gonna call him out right away. He's gonna demand, they're gonna be playing hard and all the like. So let me just get your take on A, the coaching search, and then B, your thoughts on Nick Nurse as they landed on him.
Yeah, I agree. I liked Monty as well. Obviously, I think that's a good get for Detroit.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't really want D'Antoni. I think I don't know. He's a great basketball mind. I mean, he invented the 7-second offense. He basically playing
Innovator.
fast. I mean, yeah, huge for the game what it is today. But
Yeah.
I just he's gonna form a system around Joel Embiid who can hardly make it up the court. Like, I don't know if he was the right guy. So I'm glad we didn't go that direction. I mean, I wanted Nurse. He was one of the guys I wanted with Monty, and I liked him when he was in Toronto. I think the main reason was probably because he gave Embiid fits with
Fits.
Marcus Gasol, and I couldn't understand for the love of me why. But he could scheme some stuff up, man, and he's a very good defensive coach. Takes a lot of pride in the defensive end, and yeah, I like him. He won Coach of the Year in 2019-20, not the year he won the championship, which is another impressive feat. And like you said, he's going to hold guys accountable. So I think that's obviously a big key that our guys need. Embiid, and if Harden ends up coming back to Philly, he needs that as well. So yeah, I like the Nick Nurse hire.
Yeah, I think he gets the most out of his players too. I think some players overachieve with with who he's going to go on. Some of those players on Toronto, whether it be Pascal Siakam, some of their guys he's had there, OG Anunoby, these guys, Gary Trent Jr., really good players, but I think really played to their potential under Nurse. And that leads me to Tyrese Maxey. Obviously, we can start taking this discussion anywhere in terms of Nick Nurse and how he, is going to deal with this roster. But point number one for me, obviously outside of Embiid, is how he's going to be with Maxey. I think you also kind of saw how he adjusts to with Fred VanVleet on Toronto, because when Kawhi was there, obviously he was more of a catch and shoot shooter. He was playing off the ball a lot, but you saw that when they started to lose some perimeter creators, he trusted Fred VanVleet and really, gave him the keys to the offense, and he absolutely balled out, was an all-star for Toronto under Nick Nurse. And with a guy like Tyrese Maxey, only 23 years old, if I'm correct there, maybe even 22, young, he's 23, but already 3 years of playoff run experience against really, really tough competition. I'm excited to see what he does with Maxey. What do you think he's going to be? You think he's going to be important for Maxey's development? I guess that was a main reason why they probably brought him in.
I do. I think he's I think he's really going to try and help him on the defensive end. I think that's Nick's bread and butter. Obviously, he can coach offense. He knows what he's doing. I think Sam Cassell was a huge part of Maxey's development on offense. It stinks that he went over to the Traders. That really, really hurts.
Boston Celtics.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Nurse is going to help him. Like you said, I mean, he helped Fred VanVleet become an all-star. And I mean, Maxey similar in that they're a smaller guard, kind of catch and shoot a little bit. Maxey likes to get out in transition and score. I really think the next step for Maxey is consistently scoring in the half court. And just, I know I've said it to you a couple times throughout the season. I mean, it just seems like he's either catch and shooting a three or he's dribbling to the basket as fast as he can and trying to throw up the layup. And it's like, I just like to see him like have some finesse and make a move or two, or come off a ball screen and just do something, just add a little bit of something in that half court setting. Because when he's in the open court, he's pretty much unstoppable. He's so fast. He gets to the front of the rim and he's a great finisher around the rim in the open court. And obviously his 3-point shooting has taken a step since he's been in the league. He's a plus 35% 3-point shooter, I think, moving forward here. So I just really think that next level for him is adding another aspect to that half court offensive game. So.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point. I didn't even really touch on. I kind of talked about it with the adjustments when we were talking about Nick Nurse, but defensively, I think is going to be where we see the biggest impact and the biggest footprint for Nurse. There's a lot of guys, a guy maybe down the roster a little, maybe a guy in Jaden Springer, maybe Nick Nurse really likes him. Daniel House is still under contract or player option this year, which assuming he'll pick up. But yeah, I feel like he'll be.
He did pick it up.
He did pick it up. Good.
Yep.
And I feel like he'll give a little bit of a leash early in the season to see what these guys can do, defensively, because I think with the best coaches and Nurse specifically, like if you're going to play defense, like that's how you get on the court. If you're not going to be on the court, if you're not playing defense outside of, your superstar players, right? Give or take whatever they're going to do. But I think defensively, they're going to be, and I expect in free agency, in the draft, I expect them to really target wing defenders. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring McDaniels back. He's an unrestricted free agent. They have bird rights on him. They're projecting maybe like a $2 million contract for him next year, or something like that for McDaniels. I'd take that in a second. I feel like Nurse could get a lot out of McDaniels, especially on the defensive end, and see how he grows. But I think that is going to be really important on the defensive end. I mean, obviously, championed the box and won in the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors was a big reason why they won the title. So overall, really excited with the hire. I think you had to make the change. Obviously, Doc Rivers, did really well with the Sixers. I mean, they got to the second round pretty much every single year he was here. So like, at the end of the day, the Sixers have been contenders, Eastern Conference contenders every single year. Joel Embiid has grown tremendously under him. James Harden had a phenomenal year last year. And I think obviously the development of Tyrese Maxey has been crucial too. So definitely want to give Doc a little bit of credit for his role in the last couple years as the skipper.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone who listens to this show knows I was never a Doc Rivers guy. Mike Levin had the best tweet. He said he was dangerously close to giving Doc Rivers a compliment during the playoffs, and I felt the same way. But I'm just going to kind of reference back to something I said on this podcast 2 years ago. Maybe it doesn't matter who the coach was with who our team was. I mean, we saw Embiid, we saw Harden kind of stayed away in those last 2 games. And I mean, the coach can do certain things, but if your guys aren't going to perform, your stars, it doesn't really matter if they're not going to make shots and do it.
Yeah, and it sucks because he was a scapegoat, because when you talk about it, you're on your home court, 5 minutes to go, and you have the lead in a closeout game. That's really all you can ask for out of like your head. Like if you're in that position at that point, you just said it, like
they take him home. Yeah.
At that point, you need your dogs to take you home. You know what I mean? Like you need to ride your horses into the state. You know what I mean? Like you can't just have your coach outwit them. Like it's not going to happen, especially in the NBA. Maybe at the college level, if you have like a really good X's and O's coach, could steal possessions.
Exactly.
But not at the NBA level.
Nope.
So any other last points on Nurse, the hire, what it means for coming into the year?
I mean, one thing to keep in mind is he played his starters a lot, so we'll see. Obviously, he's not going to run Joel into the ground, but it'll be interesting to see how much Maxey's playing and how much Harris is playing early on in the season. I think that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I could see Maxey pushing 40 minutes this year, maybe Embiid in that 36 region, but I could see him really using Maxey. You know, especially Maxey, 1 year left under contract, extension eligible this summer. He is a restricted free agent after next season. But still, you know, I could see them really running him into the ground. So, but yeah, I think really excited about the possibilities of Nick Nurse and what he's going to bring to the team. And we'll see where it goes. Obviously, when we look at the player side here, the number one thing on the agenda for the Philadelphia 76ers is James Harden and that $35 million player option. Gut feeling here. There's been a lot of rumors of Houston. There's been some breadcrumbs of Phoenix. What do you make of it? Do you think it's a ploy by the agency, or do you think he's actually entertaining these offers?
I have no idea.
It's a tough one. This is like a weird kind of thing. Everything you were hearing in the season was, he's going back to Houston. Like there's real possibilities going back to Houston. But now it's like, I never really thought that was kind of like a legit possibility.
Stinks.
Houston, exactly. They stink. And
he's going to go play with Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr.
And thinks he's going to compete in the West.
Sengun's their best player.
You hear that?
No, what's going on?
There was a crazy thunder right outside my window. I got a little shook. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just can't. Why would you go to Houston at this stage in your career? You've never won a ring.
And he's been all about winning. That's what he's saying. I'm all about winning. I'm taking pay cuts. Like I'm doing. And then you're going to go to Houston.
Yeah. I don't know.
And you know, he is, let's be real. He's 34 years old. During next season, he's going to turn 35. He's on the last couple holes of his career. And, you know, maybe he wants to spend the last couple years in Houston. So I get that. But then don't be like, I'm all about winning. I'm all about this. I'm all about that. You know what I mean?
He should do that when he gives up then. Is he giving up at 34? Is that what he's doing? If he's giving up, then go to Houston.
What the breadcrumbs sound like.
If he wants to try and win a championship for another 2 years, then try for 2 years and then go to Houston.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's trying to use Houston as a leverage point to get more money out of the Sixers.
Yeah, probably.
But there's no way they should re-sign James for a 4-year deal.
I wonder if he likes Nick.
I mean, he didn't like Doc, obviously. I don't. Maybe he wanted Sam Cassell to be the head coach. You know, he was in the running. I don't even know if he got an interview,
Maybe
but
Monty, yeah.
maybe Monty. I don't know. It's just like
Maybe he wanted Mike.
he could have wanted Mike. I think they should just add him to the staff.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
You know, don't give him the keys. Just let him be in the
Yeah, I
car.
like that. Let him sit driver's seat. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but overall, I mean, I expect Harden to take he's got until June 29th to accept or deny that. So he's got 20 days. The clock is running.
All right.
For him
So
to
yeah, so we get Harden.
right.
What do we do? I'm hearing Harris is gone.
Yeah, so let's talk about Harris. We'll move. So you say Harden picks up his player option.
Hypothetically, yep.
Hypothetically speaking, we put Tobias Harris in the trade machine. Where's he going? So here's the funny thing. Like, let's send him to Toronto, dude. Like, I don't like why not?
Because no one on their teams get pushing us to a championship. You know who is Damian Lillard? Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris.
Wow.
For Damian Lillard. Try this trade. We're giving up 40,000 or 40
Tobias and Tyrese for Damian Lillard.
40
Try
million.
this trade. This trade is successful.
And we're +5 wins. We'll throw them a first later.
I was about to say, does Portland do that?
Yeah. Maxey's a stud.
We also have a $2 million trade exception from Matisse Thybulle. So, you know,
can
that could also
Nasir Little from them too, and we'll give him a pick. He's only $4 million. Trade's still successful.
Yeah, I mean, he might want to go. You think so let's talk about the Dame hypothetical. I mean, are you would be comfortable moving Harris and Maxey for Dame?
Here's my thing. I just talked about how the coach doesn't matter and we need to have a better team to win or players to perform better to win the championship.
Yeah.
I like Tyrese Maxey. I love his potential. Right now, this team, how it's constructed, isn't going to win a championship. We can agree on that, I think.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean,
I don't think so. I just don't think so.
If there was ever a year they were going to do it, it was this year.
Right. So are we going to try again with the same team, or are we going to sell our soul and actually have a chance to win the championship this year by getting Damian Lillard?
So then your starting lineup would be Damian Lillard, James Harden, PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid,
and we need another wing.
And Danwell House.
We'd need another wing somehow. We'd have to sign someone to the vet min, do something.
You'd have to. But to start, like that's what I'm kind of like. You're trading 2 starters for 1. You're going to have to fill that wing spot. PJ's going to play the 4 regardless, and Joel's going to be out on the perimeter doing his thing.
Melton and B-Ball Paul coming off. You start B-Ball Paul at the 4.
Or do you start DeAnthony Melton?
No, you start B-Ball Paul at the 4.
They wouldn't start B-Ball Paul.
And then you get Nick Nurse is crazy.
Yeah, but he's not going to start B-Ball Paul. B-Ball Paul's got a qualifying offer. He's a restricted free agent.
Yeah, we're re-signing him.
So George Niang, unrestricted free agent.
Gotta come back too.
Jalen McDaniels. I mean,
yeah,
could bring him back. Maybe start him.
How about Harris for Levine?
Harris for Levine. The Bulls are an interesting trade partner. You know, let's
or DeMar.
The more I hear it, the less I like it.
Don't say that. You'd rather have Levine than DeMar.
DeMar's cheaper.
Yeah, he is.
Way cheaper. Trade failed though. They'd
have to give us something else.
Yeah.
For the salaries.
Caruso. They wouldn't give us
salary wise.
Derek Jones Jr. Derek Jones Jr. and DeMar DeRozan for Toby.
Caruso would be great.
Yeah, but they wouldn't give us Caruso.
Yeah.
That's an interesting deal.
Yeah.
That's an interest. I'm looking for partners here because it feels like Toby's dealt. Like it feels like he's gone. Let's talk about Orlando. Do they have anything you want? Like,
We
what
need a
about
wing. If we give up Toby, we need a wing. They're
what
not giving
about
us bronze.
what about Wendell? Wendell
It's
Carter
gonna-
Jr.? Wendell Carter Jr. and
no.
Gary Harris.
Mm.
Trade not successful. I don't know. So is Toby gone? That's the question. Is he
I think
100% gone?
I saw someone say on Twitter, I forget who it was, that the rumors and the word around the NBA executives right now is that they're expecting an extremely, what's the word?
Aggressive.
Big off season, like lots of moves, teams rebuilding, teams getting ready for the salary cap. There's going to be changes to the salary cap in a year or two.
Yep.
Teams, they think there's going to be a lot of movement this offseason. So,
Yeah, I mean, Portland already talked about the number 3 picks open for business. You know, they want to move the number 3 pick. So that could be that's that's
yeah.
something to consider. Obviously the Bulls
Cam
are talking.
Whitmore at 3.
Huh?
Cam Whitmore at 3.
For who? Portland?
No, for us. We'll trade for the 3.
They're not gonna give you Dame and the number 3.
No, obviously.
Yeah, so like I mean, it's going to be interesting offseason in Chicago. I think that you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, Boston, I mean, it's going to be an interesting offseason in Boston. Obviously, we're not going to make a trade with them, but they're staring down $600 million between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. What does their offseason look like? I mean, they pretty much have every under contract.
Very interesting.
And then
trying to think who else is a possible trade partner.
Indiana. I mean, Buddy Hield and something for Toby.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield and Aaron Nesmith or Jordan Nwora.
Chris Duarte.
They wouldn't give us Duarte.
They got Mathurin and Nemhard. They don't need Duarte.
I'll take Buddy and Jordan. Us not successful. Need more money. But Indiana's interesting. That's just in the East too. I mean, there's rumors that Karl Anthony Towns is gone. Like people expect him to be moved in the next couple weeks. That could be really, really interesting. Don't love his fit on the Sixers, but just another guy that's going to be moved. Could really see some shake up there.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Bradley Beal.
Washington, I think they're finally going to tear it down this offseason. They're talking about it finally. What about Denny Advija?
For who?
I don't know. As a throw-in.
Yeah, I mean,
if you could get, I would do Toby for Bradley Beal. You'd have to throw in something though because it's not. Oh, it's successful. Never mind.
Is it?
Trade Machine saying it's successful straight up, but they wouldn't do that. They'd want more than just Toby.
Yeah.
Maybe they wouldn't though if they want to get off that contract of Bradley Beal.
Yeah, you're right.
Know?
He's got 5 years left. Toby's got 2.
Yeah, but I don't think that's updated off this season yet. Toby's got 1 year left next year.
Yeah.
Next year's his last year.
Throw him a second. Yeah. They can have Mac McClung too.
McClung's a restricted free agent.
2-way.
Paul's a restricted free agent too. He's not even
Yeah, we got to sign him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Sixers have work to do, is the bottom line. Daryl's got some work to do. I'm glad we have him, that's for sure. But
yeah, and the thing with the draft, I mean, the Sixers have their first round pick this year, but then the next 2 drafts, they owe to Oklahoma City and then Brooklyn for the next 2 years after that. So, protections. There's protections on picks. So, we'll see what happens there. But let's talk about where the Sixers might look in the draft. We talk about a little, maybe I'm pulling up a mock here and seeing if, of course, Gotta
I
log
haven't
in.
really been looking into the draft too much.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been looking at the top, just because of what just everyone. I mean, it's everyone. I mean, it's Victor Wembanyama. Everyone's been seeing, the top, Miller, Brandon Miller,
Scoot.
Scoot. Scoot's
I
probably
think
gonna go 3.
I'm a big Cam Whitmore guy.
He'll
Probably a
probably
little
go 4.
biased because of Nova, but he's got an NBA body. So if it clicks for him, I like him a lot.
ESPN's giving me all kind of lip.
What pick do we have?
I'm trying to pull up like the draft this year and see what the big board looks like. All right, here we go. Sixers ended up with the what? This is great podcast right here.
What's going on?
Oh, so is this the 2023 draft, right? This is what we're looking at. That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing 28 Utah from Philadelphia via Brooklyn.
Okay.
They have
Keegan
any
Murray's
picks?
brother Chris Murray is ranked 25th on ESPN. Dariq Whitehead from Duke is ranked 26th. Jaime Jaquez is ranked 30th.
I don't think you're understand. We don't even have a first round pick this year.
I thought you just said 28th.
No, I said 28th pick is Utah. So I'm looking. Okay, so here it is. Future draft picks. 2024 is when we have a draft pick. We don't have a first round pick in 2023.
Okay. Well then.
And we don't have a second round pick because we forfeited them from the tampering charges.
Yeah, of course we did. Thanks, Adam.
So there's no picks here.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yep. 58 it would have been. Forfeited pick. Gotta love it.
Oh my God. So yeah, so not really too much to look at with the draft. So that'll be an interesting interesting thing. I'm gonna pull up some free agents and see what it's looking like.
So say James doesn't come back.
Yes. So Chris Middleton's got a player option. The best free agent on the board is going to be Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
No interest?
We can't afford him if James walks. We'll have like 6 million in cap space.
Fred VanVleet's got a player option. We didn't talk about potentially sending Toby to Toronto for Fred VanVleet in a sign and trade. Maybe James Harden in a sign and he wouldn't go to Toronto. But
be able to just afford Fred if James walked.
You wouldn't, or you would?
We would. I don't think we'd have to trade Toby for him. I think we'd just be able to sign him.
Yeah. All right. Now here's some other wing guys. We'll go down the list here. Harrison Barnes going to be a free agent. Jeremy Grant, Paris LeVert, all going to be free agents. Gary Trent Jr. has a player option, so he'll probably go back. Some other wings: Will Barton, Christian Wood, center. Brooke Lopez, center. Kyle Kuzma's got a player option.
Brooke Lopez.
You can't start them both though. Like,
yeah, he'd be our backup.
He'll just sign back in Milwaukee and start.
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre, Josh Richardson, Dylan Brooks, your boy. Do they go after Dylan Brooks?
My brother just said he brings defense. Like, we might as well. We need some wing defenders. He can shoot it a little bit when he gets hot. I was never a huge fan, but at the end of the day, you look at our wings on the team and it's like he's way better than all of them.
Yeah. Jay Crowder's an unrestricted free agent.
Dario
Saric. Seth Curry. We didn't talk about Seth potentially coming back. Would you like him on the bench?
Absolutely. Let's get all
about Lonnie Walker, Joe Ingles, also free agents.
Yep. Your boy Lonnie Walker. Too soon.
Start with Lonnie fucking Walker.
Too soon.
Game 4 Lonnie, dude. I don't even want to talk about it. Who else we got here? Yeah, Kendrick Nunn. I mean, there's some Torrey Craig. There's some names out here. I would love Torrey Craig actually.
Yeah, I like Torrey Craig.
It's not a bad plug and play.
Not a bad one.
So there's some names out here.
Yeah. We're gonna
Definitely
Daryl's
some
got his
memes.
work cut out for him.
Yeah, so we touched on the Nick Nurse hiring. We touched on James Harden and his potential player option. Obviously, we touched on the Toby trade talks. I'm trying to think of other any other news from this crazy beginning of the offseason for the Sixers. I think we pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, the news is gonna heat up when Harden makes his decisions. So we'll have a lot more to talk about then.
Yeah, we'll definitely be back when that decision gets made a little closer to the draft because we're sure a lot more deals are going to happen after there. But yeah, so we're concluding our little offseason primer for the Sixers this year. So that will do it for the show today. Appreciate you hopping on, Con, as always. And definitely, everyone listening, go check the description below for myself and Connor's handles for our social media accounts. Feel free to shoot us any questions. We'll try to get to it on mailbags on the show. And thank you guys for tuning in once again. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here again next time.